Hello everybody and welcome to Families Online. It is so great to be gathering together today. We have lots planned this morning. We have got Karen coming and sharing our story for today. We'll have some questions and chat and catch. We've got an action song and we've got a challenge. But to start with, before we do anything else, I want to hear what you are thankful for this week. So have a think. What are you thankful to God for this week? And pop it in the chat now. Well guys, thank you so much for sharing in the chat everything that you are thankful for. We are going to continue thanking God and praising Him with an action song in a moment. But first of all, I'm going to share what you need for the challenge later. And all you will need for this week's challenge is a toilet roll. So you can grab that at some point between now and the challenge. Grab a toilet roll. If you want the challenge to be a little bit easier, you could maybe use something like a cushion. But all will be explained a bit later. So find yourself a toilet roll or something similar. But for now, we are going to worship God. So stand up, get ready to worship God with this song.
Called out into darkness, you reached out to save us. You conquered the grave, you crossed the divide. Lost in our sin, you made us alive. How can we ever hold it inside? We can't hold back. We're gonna lift you higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, make it louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. We're never gonna stop singing. Set free, no longer bound in chains. You rescued me and called me by name. You conquered the grave, you crossed the divide. Lost in our sin, you made us alive. How can we ever hold it inside? We can't hold back. We're gonna lift you higher, higher. Hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, make it louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Oh, we're never gonna stop. Higher, higher. Hearts burning tribe, every tongue, every heart will sing. Every knee we will bow to the risen King. Lift him up, we're never gonna stop singing. Oh, we're never gonna stop. Every tribe, every tongue, every heart will sing. Every knee we will bow to the risen King. Lift him up, we're never gonna stop singing. Oh, we're never gonna stop. Higher, higher, hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, make it louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Oh, we're never gonna stop. Higher, higher, hearts burning bright like a fire, fire. Voices unite, make it louder, louder. We're never gonna stop singing. Oh, we're never gonna stop singing.
Good morning, and today we are starting a new series in Families Online looking at the Holy Spirit. And I'm going to read a bit about Pentecost. Now this is in the Bible, in Acts, right at the beginning in Acts 1. And it talks about when the disciples received the Holy Spirit. After Jesus ascended, that means went up, into heaven, the 11 remaining apostles returned to Jerusalem. They gathered in the upper room with Jesus' mother Mary, his brothers and his other followers. Together they spent time praying while they waited for the coming of the Holy Spirit. During this time, Peter said they should choose a replacement for Judas, who had betrayed the Lord. The man, Peter said, must be one of the men who were with the Lord the whole time since John's baptism. 2 men were suggested, Joseph, called Barabbas, and Matthias. The apostles prayed and asked the Lord to guide their choice. Then they cast lots, which is like drawing straws to see who got the shorter one. The man would be God's choice. Matthias was chosen, so he became the 12th apostle from that day on. The group waited patiently and prayed for Jesus' promise to come true. On the day of the Feast of Pentecost, their wait was over. A great sound filled the room, like a mighty rushing wind from heaven. Then small flames, like tongues of fire, appeared above each person's head. They were all filled with the Holy Spirit. In that moment, the Holy Spirit gave each of them the ability to speak in other languages. The Spirit Jesus promised had come. Meanwhile, people from many countries had gathered in Jerusalem for their feast. They heard the sounds coming from the house and came closer. But as they listened more carefully, they were bewildered. Each one could hear his own language being spoken. "Aren't all these people from Galilee?" they asked each other. "How can they be speaking to us in our own language?" People in the crowd were from all the surrounding lands. Medes, Parthians, Elamites, people from Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt, Libya, Cyrenes, visitors from Rome, from Crete, from Arabians, and of course Jews. All of them heard the apostles talking about God's mighty works in their own language. How had this happened? Most of the people were amazed at what they were hearing and wondered what it might mean. But a few had their own idea of what was going on. "They are drunk," They said, "They are filled with new wine," even though it was still early in the morning. Of course, those people couldn't have been more wrong. The outpouring of the Holy Spirit at Pentecost marked the beginning of God's plan to reach the nation with the gospel. The book of Acts tells us that people from at least 15 different countries were there that day. Jesus came to fulfill the promise God had made to Abraham centuries before, that he would be a blessing to the nations. With the coming of the Holy Spirit, the fulfillment of that promise to reach the nations with the good news of salvation had begun. So, we've just heard about how the Holy Spirit first came, and we're going to have some questions now, and then we will come back and do some chat and catch. So we've been looking at who is the Holy Spirit, and we heard about when he first came upon the disciples and how they had tongues of fire on their heads and a rushing wind. And we all can have the gift of the Holy Spirit. And if you believe and trust in Jesus, you can have the Holy Spirit. So today in Chat and Catch, what I want to do is I want everyone to find a comfortable place, like we always do. Encourage you to close your eyes and open your hands. But today we're going to just play some music, and I want you to ask the Holy Spirit to come on you, to come and speak to you and be with you. Now, just to remember, there are lots of different ways that this can happen. God speaks to us through many, many different ways. We can get a picture in our head. So if you think about your bedroom in your head, sometimes the Holy Spirit can drop a picture in your head, or we might be able to see things in front of our eyes or hear things, or we might hear something in our head. If you imagine your mum calling you, sometimes we can hear things like that from the Holy Spirit. Other ways is we might get a tingling on our skin, or just a sense, a feeling, a gut reaction. If you're not sure what to do, just ask God. Just ask the Holy Spirit to come. Ask him to speak to you. And if you want to tell him anything, just tell him whatever is on your mind. So we're all going to spend a bit of time now. We're just going to have some music playing over the top while we encounter the Holy Spirit. Okay, close your eyes, open your hands, and ask the Holy Spirit to come. Okay, so how did you find that? Did anyone hear or experience the Holy Spirit? I had a sense of water being poured over my head. I thought, well, what's that all about? So I asked, what are you saying? And what I felt God say to me was that you're weary and tired, and I want to refresh you with my Holy Spirit. So that was really encouraging. Did anyone else get anything? Did anyone hear anything or catch anything or sense anything? If you want to share it, we would love to hear about it, so pop it in the chat. Anyway, I think we are now going back to the challenge. I hope you do well at that, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Karen, for sharing our story for today, and well done everyone for joining in with the questions. We've got our challenge now, and I've come outside, so I've got lots of space to show you what you need to do. So today's challenge, you need to grab your toilet roll, you need to be standing up, and you're going to balance it on your head. And then the challenge is to see if you can, without touching it and with it staying on your head, lie all the way down and then stand up again. So I'm going to give it a go. If you've got space, you can do it now. Hold on to your toilet roll and get it on your head, and just see how many times it might take you to try it. So I'm going to give it a go now. Have a go at home, and we'll see how I do. Okay. There we go, it's balanced. Well, there you go. Took me 2 attempts. How did you get on? Why don't you let us know in the chat? It'd be great to hear. Quite tricky that actually. We have come to the end of Families Online today. So we're going to watch the main service now. You can click watch up there for that. And it has been great hanging out, and we will see you next week. Bye.